express yourself. You don't never need help from nobody else. All you got to do now, express yourself. Whatever you do, do it good. Whatever you do, Lord, Lord. Do it good.
One more thing that must be done.
It's not what you look like when you're doing what you're doing. It's what you're doing when you're doing what you look like you're doing. Express yourself. Express yourself.
Oh, that's as big as I can make it? Dang. Well, I'm rolling with it anyway. I'm trying to do a loop here, where I wave right now, and then this part of the screen is looking at this section. Should be the stream, so it's being looped because, for those of you who haven't noticed, this is a mirror behind me. Big old mirror. I just cleaned it. I was hoping that it'd be able to appear, but I think my exposure level is just kind of... Wait, maybe if I adjust the lighting. Give me one moment. Alright, I'm way brighter. No, nothing. Let's see. That fix it? No, it didn't fix it. Oh well. Alright, I see Divine has joined the chat. Let's get her on here and get this party started. Wait a little bit. Alright. One moment.
Hi, Andres.
Hello, Divine. I'm so sorry.
Hey,
I was afraid when you joined in.
No, don't be sorry.
Huh?
I heard you talking about how you got a mirror in the back. I really appreciate that. That's so cool.
I do. I was trying to think of a way to, incorporate that into the scenery. This is a massive mirror that I have in my room that I use to
I see it.
dress
It's
myself.
so cool. I'm ready to be perceived. Yes.
Thank you. Yeah, is that the... I used the mirror because I saw that it was on your account, but I don't know the full significance of it.
Yeah, so basically with my account and with the mirror emoji next to my little autobiography that I have next to it, it's just like a way of me to see myself, because that's really what my account is. Like, even though people don't really get to see my face, right?
Mm-hmm.
I know who I am, and I feel like my art speaks about me more than, like what my face gives away.
Mm-hmm.
And I just feel like, yeah, there's just so much more detail in the things that I share with everyone more than, like my physical essence, if you will.
For sure. Yeah. I'm just
Mm-hmm.
speaking strictly about your work. I mean, there's a lot, I think, that can be perceived in just one single piece.
Yeah, thank you. I take a lot of inspiration from anime. It's so silly, but it really does like light me up to create stuff, right?
Totally.
And it's also wacky and cool. And I'm just like, is it possible for me to make anything like something similar, but in a still image instead of like all the motions and graphics that come with like animating something, a moment, and all that stuff?
Mm-hmm.
I'm just like, and it works out anyways because everything that I end up making, I like it.
Which is good. Very,
Which
very
is
good.
good. I'm glad. Thank you.
It's so funny that you bring up anime, because you mentioned also we've spoken before. We've had an interview before. Anyone who in the chat who's listened to my last podcast has heard my interview, hopefully, with Divine and Karina from the Hues of Humanity exhibit. We're kind of in like
Mm-hmm.
flipped roles right now, right? Like at that time, you were one of the curators of a virtual festival or a virtual exhibit, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And now, like,
I'm sitting down and you're the master of this exhibit.
that's not fair. I'm part of a collective, and we all really no, for sure. Like I only handle a certain part of it. That's kind of another cool thing about it. Like y'all,
Mm-hmm.
like the Hues exhibit.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's everyone is a part of this team, and we all contribute stuff to it. But thank you. What I was gonna say is it's funny that you bring up anime because that's kind of been something that I've been super into lately. Also, my brief like breaks from fest stuff has been dedicated to like watching the Evangelion rebuild movies. I don't know if you're an
Mm-hmm.
Evangelion fan, but like that's been an experience, and it's definitely like been sitting in my
Mm-hmm.
mind and like everything.
Yeah, my sister watched it recently. I think she finished the series maybe a couple weeks ago,
Mm-hmm.
and she just like saw the trailer for the movie, and I think she watched like half of it yesterday.
Mm.
And I came into her room while she was watching it, and the runtime is crazy
The
long.
last one,
And
yeah,
she
it's like
complained, yeah, and she even complained and said that she has no idea what is going on. But I feel like that's kind of like all the different themes of Evangelion, confusion and like lack of clarity. You come up with
totally.
your own conclusions and like what's happening in the moment because really they're not going to give it to you in writing or in the dialogue. You figure it out. And oh, that's going to be not for me. No, thank you.
For sure, for sure. What animes are you into then?
Right now, I'm watching an anime called Tokyo Revengers. I don't know if you've heard of it.
No.
It just came out recently this spring, I think in early January maybe. And it's kind of like, how do I explain it? Like going back into the past to undo something that happens in the future with like a kick to it. I don't know if you like delinquents. You know anime delinquents?
Is it a show or like the character of a delinquent?
The character of a delinquent,
Oh, of
like the
course.
natural picture of one with the pompadours
Sure.
and like the puffed up chest and all that stuff. Yeah, there's like a lot of it in this one, and it's so cool. It's so funny because I'm also like, where are the adults? Why are all of y'all delinquent? You know?
Let all y'all run around and just get away with all these things.
Yes. But it's just like so cool because I really connect to the story and the characters. Like I get so soft-hearted whenever I see them, and I'm just like, ah, oh, please survive this episode, please.
Mm.
You know? So I'm trying to recommend that one to everyone I know. It's really perfect if you're into like drama, slice of life-ish stuff, like nothing too over the top that people who don't watch anime won't like understand.
Sure.
So I think it's like a really good recommendation.
Well, where can I?
I'm gonna come back to
Is
you
that,
and
okay.
ask you if you've seen it.
I've made a list. I'll put the Tokyo Revengers at the top of my list. Where do I watch it though?
Thanks.
Is that Crunchyroll or is that?
Yeah, on Crunchyroll, it's very good subbed. I'm like,
I'm a sub person. I don't do dubs really.
my like phone was telling me no, my phone was telling me that I had like 20% battery left, but it's okay. When it reaches 10%, I'll grab
no.
What was
I live that
saying?
life too.
Oh yeah, like I love like dub animes, but subs have been really like getting my attention a lot recently because they're absolutely perfect. I don't want to like reenact a line for you and like completely mess it up and embarrass myself, but you know exactly what I'm talking about. Like the pure emotion is there and it makes you believe in the scene. Yeah, and your heart cries for whatever's happening in the moment. It's just perfect. Yeah, watch it subbed on Crunchyroll.
All right, noted. Sub Crunchyroll, Tokyo Revengers. Got it.
Mm-hmm.
The series, like the lighthearted thing that I've been watching, which I can counter recommend to you, is my friend introduced me to this show called The Way of the House Husband. Have you heard of this show? It's on Netflix.
Yeah, I have.
Oh, okay. Have you watched it at all? Do you know anything
No,
about
I
it?
haven't. All I know about it is that a character, I don't know if you've ever heard of Jujutsu Kaisen.
I have heard of it. I don't know much about it, just the name.
Oh, okay.
But I know people really love it.
One of the characters' voice actors plays, I think, the lead in the house husband, the one you just mentioned right now.
Real
And that
voice
excites
guy,
me already.
real, like,
so
100 cigarettes a day kind of person, like that kind of voice. He's like a reformed yakuza, and he's like a house husband now. His wife goes to work, and he just cooks and learns how to like make really cute dishes. And it's like each episode's like 6 minutes long. It's fantastic.
Oh, 6 minutes long?
Yeah, like one episode on Netflix is like 6 episodes, and they're all little like compartments. And each episode, which I guess is like micro season, I don't know, ends with an episode that's his cat is the protagonist. He's not even in the episode. It's just about his cat. Dude, it's really interesting. Yeah, that's my
I'll check that
recommendation.
one out. Yeah. That
Uh,
is a counter, yeah, recommendation to what I just gave you. Yeah, I'm talking delinquents and you're talking to me about cats and like
Ex
very
Yakuza.
organized, like food plates and everything. Yeah, I'll check it out.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Real quick, everybody in the chat, the emoji of the evening is a mirror. So if you could drop a mirror in the chat, that'd be fantastic. We have Divine Agbeko here. If you're just joining in, one of the artists that's going to be part of the Miraaa Media Festival, which takes place tomorrow, is blowing my mind that this is like here already. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
I saw it in your video, in your story, that you had mentioned that it's 5 months in the making. I had no idea it was that long in the making.
that's from like the first like Google Hangout where we're like, so
Yeah, like conceptualizing
sure,
everything.
yeah.
Hmm.
To today, yeah, it's been about 4.5 to 5, something like that. And yeah, we did all the zines today. We put together all the bags. We had some volunteers with like an assembly line thing, and
Hmm.
it was wild being on this end of the table.
Yeah,
I was
that sounds
revisiting.
so wicked. I'm so excited.
I'm excited for people to experience it, to see it. Have you had a chance to check out the virtual exhibition yet to see what Ram did with that?
No, I didn't think I had access to that. I
Oh, okay.
do?
I think they've been sending it out. If not, it should be available tomorrow. But I was gonna say, so I was revisiting the Hues interview that we did recently,
Hmm.
and y'all used Kunstmatrix for the Hues exhibit.
Yeah, we got lucky and sourced that out randomly, I think,
You
during
found
like
it, right?
a really late night. It was me. Yeah, I was looking everywhere for something that we could use because the first one, the first software we were kind of playing around with, it was just too difficult to make work.
Uh-huh.
And it was messy. It made me so sad. So yeah, I made it my mission that night just to see everything through and find something else that would work. And we found Kunstmatrix, and it was perfect.
It worked out so well, and
Thank
the
you.
reason I bring it up is that's what we're also using for this exhibit. So
Oh
it's a
my
similar platform.
God, that's so funny. I love that. I love that.
Because I think
Like,
after y'all did it, Ram did one, right? For Out in the
yeah, he
956.
did.
So I
And
think like there's some
hmm
connections here throughout the whole
yes,
thing.
that's really how it should be, like introducing something accessible and easy for other people to use as well, because it gave you like an easy time to use as well. So I love that you were able to use it, RAM, as well. And I'm sure other people are going to use it too. And it's so inexpensive. I love that.
Now that the word's out, of course. Y'all mentioned like
Yes.
last time that
Hmm.
it's primarily used as like for art dealers to like sell pieces without having people travel
Yeah.
to like a museum or whatever.
Hmm.
So yeah, it's fantastic how small of a world we live in.
Hmm.
So um, there's a couple things I wanted to ask. One is we can talk a little bit about your collage work, if you're down,
Okay.
or we could talk about the pieces you picked specifically for the festival exhibit.
Hmm. So I get to choose, right?
Yeah.
I choose the first option. We can talk about collage work in general. I want my
Sure.
pieces to be a surprise. I'm excited for them because they're like very new from what I usually do.
Mhm.
But also, I feel like everything that I do is an experiment. So I don't know if it's like easy to follow or like predict what my next move is going to be because I feel like I'm like a novice still. Like I'm really just learning everything and what like my limits are and then breaking out of those said limits
Hmm.
and like creating new bounds for myself and everything like that.
Hmm.
So we will wait on that one for sure.
Okay. All right. The mystery continues. Well then,
Yes.
tell me and the world. I've already heard a bit of this story, but the rest of the viewers are not privy to this. How did you get into collage? What's the story behind that?
Oh, okay. So collaging came to me. We met each other very randomly, I think on like a summer day back in June of last year. I'm talking like it's a love
This
story,
is
because it
great. I love it. I love
is.
it. I'm picturing the anime of the conversation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just like last year after I had finished my junior year of college, I was like, I really want to get more into design because I was a psych major and I finished as a psych major, but I think my heart was more into like designing things and creating things, destroying things, and building something out from those broken things. And I was just like, oh, let me get some practice because I knew I had some like more advanced design classes coming up in the fall. And I was like, oh, maybe a fun way for me to kind of practice is to collage, right? And so I did all this research on Pinterest. Funny enough, like who goes on Pinterest for research?
I bet more people than we think.
Maybe, maybe. I'm one of them. So I had found this person who is like advertising kind of like a like figure out how to collage or get to know collaging kind of like free booklet. And I had signed up for it and it was sent to me and he kind of like helped me through how to cut things and how to source like yeah, crazy. How to like cut things and how to source like non-copyrighted images and all that stuff.
Like
And he gave us
like beyond the booklet, he also like would like hang out and like help you do this stuff.
oh no, sorry.
Oh, you mean
The
like in the
booklet
booklet
was
he helped
a
you?
step-by-step thing. Yeah,
Oh,
and we
cool.
had like challenges and all that stuff. And I was like, oh, this is like very perfect. I want to get to know how to use Photoshop. And this is like a very fun way that doesn't seem too like crazy and untamed, right? Like this is within my limits because I'm a beginner right now.
Like just the structure
And
you need, kind of thing.
yes, exactly. And so after that, I just kind of played around with Photoshop and I was just like, this is cute. And I'm going to figure out how to do my own thing with what I know from this book. So I went onto Tumblr and I stayed on Pinterest as well and like found some stuff. And then my first piece ever, I don't know if you remember, it's called Veil Girl, right?
Not the top
She
of my
was
head.
created. Um, let me describe it to you. It was like this black woman. She's black and white, like literally also. Like the filter on the photo is black and white. And she's kind of behind like this very scenic atmosphere. It's like a garden. There's blue. It's very colorful and contrasting to what she looked like.
Hmm.
And my inspiration for that one was like the Death Note manga. I don't know if you've ever seen like
I know
like the
of
Death
Death
Note.
Note. I think I watched
Yeah.
like the first live action movie. That's about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but the illustrator for Death Note, I just saw his covers on Tumblr because I like I'm not going to bookstores looking at like not for this.
This is
No,
also
I
like
found it
middle of
like
pandemic too, right? Like when you started doing.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's right. So it was gonna be like not ordinary for me to go out and be looking at stuff like that. But yeah, I had found it on accident. And I was just like, this looks so cool. Like because the way the characters are framed on the covers, it's always giving like main character, you know? And it's also giving like almost like a righteous kind of feel. I don't know, it makes me think of like Catholicism and like church and
Like very like
God.
icon type of thing.
Yes, exactly. And I was just like, I want to make stuff that looks like this. And the fact that it already looked stitched together, like as if it were a collage already, I was just oh, this is like, this is it for me, right?
Hmm.
And after that, a lot of my other pieces after that were still inspired by the Death Note covers. And then the Hues of Humanity exhibition came out. Yeah, like Maddie and Karina pushed me so bad to introduce my work. I didn't even feel like it was work at the time. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
I'm just like, this is cute, but it's not like.
And yet you had like a bunch of people tell. I think your sister too was like telling you like, yeah, do it, right?
Yeah, exactly. They had a lot of faith in me when I couldn't discover that in myself yet.
Hmm.
But also I felt like it makes sense for me not to feel like I'm hot shit already because it's my first time ever making really anything and sharing that big part of myself, especially because I felt so premature then with other people. But yeah, they were gassing me up and giving me kind words to feed off of, and I was like, okay. And I showcased myself and got a lot of support. That was really unexpected for me because I never really envisioned myself as a visual artist, even though that's kind of what I feed off of the best. Like visually,
Mhm.
everything makes sense to me in that way if I can see it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I'm a big visual learner. I like looking at colors. That's why I love anime and cartoons so much because it's so different from like the ordinary world, and the world building can be very insane and very imaginative and out there. And it's like that's my thing, right?
Hmm.
Because in high school also I wanted to be a musician. It's so funny.
What did you want to play?
No, I wanted to be a singer. I wanted to be
Ooh,
like the
okay.
next Willow Smith or something. It was a crazy time in my life. But then I was like, oh my God, singing is hard. Yes, it really
It takes a lot
is.
of. I mean, you know, some folks are born with it, but like even those people still have to like, you know, they got training and whatever like they got to do. You know,
Mm-hmm, exactly. I,
you
I
made a
wasn't gonna do
choice.
all of that stuff in my, yes, exactly. I was like, let me hold off on this and become a psychologist.
Wait, I don't think I've ever. I don't think I know why that was your decision. Like, what was your pivot to psych after that?
Because my parents wanted me to be something traditional. I
Mm-hmm.
think as all like immigrant parents want their children to be. Yeah, they just wanted me to be something medicine or business or in the law field. And I
Right.
was just like, I don't really want to do any of that actually. So I chose psychology because it was like a good pivot from actually being that close to medicine, especially, right? So it's like medicine adjacent. And it kind of,
Like it's
yes,
not
and it
hard, you know, doctor type of stuff, but you do get the
mm-hmm.
doctor. You could have been Dr. Agbeko.
Yes. Mm-hmm. It's crazy. And I was thinking, oh, maybe it's a good idea because I'll have the financial security and stability that we all want without having to, like be in front of people like that all the time and touching all over them. And
Right.
no, 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 no. That can't be my future? So it's like a good balance between what I want and what my parents want, right?
Sure. Sure.
Mm-hmm. And then after that, I was just like, I cannot do this at all. Literally third year of college, I said that to myself. And it's really scary,
Yeah.
like admitting something that big to yourself, right? And kind of changing the course of your future for it.
Yeah.
Because then that means, because with design, you don't necessarily need, even though I have experience in school and everything, and I've been taught, right, traditionally, it's not like I have a degree. But at the same time, I don't need a degree to succeed, really. I don't think so.
Right.
Yeah, I just need to have proof of my skill. So I've been working on, like, collaging helps me to kind of like further that skill set. And at the same time, I'm working on my portfolio at the moment as well.
Hmm.
So it's like, I feel like, yeah,
It's all
I
taking
feel,
shape, it sounds like.
yeah, I feel super adult and like very like, oh, I'm taking control of my own life now. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
It's so scary, but like it has to be done because I feel like I can really, oh, sorry. Yeah, I feel like I
Could you repeat that last
can
part? The
really,
support you
yeah,
feel like
my
you
phone
really
is at
what?
10% right now.
Oh my God! Do you
What's
want to? You
up?
have time to
Sorry.
go get a. You have time to go get a cable if you want to plug in your phone.
Oh, yes, thank you. I have one right here actually.
Cool.
But what was I saying?
Uh,
Yeah, what was I saying?
you were talking about how you decided to make the decision to not pursue, you know, psychology and pursue,
Yeah.
basically throw yourself into your art and put all your energy into that, and how it's intimidating to do that, to confront that, you know, reality, the fact of that, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's yeah, especially you said like 3 years into college, it's kind of just like you're having to you know re-steer a big ship. Um, but
Yeah.
I also think that you were happy with that decision.
Yeah, completely. I don't doubt what I'm doing at all because like I said, I really feel like there's a future and a place for me within this field, like within like making art and also just like designing things for people, whether that be like freelancing or just doing something more consistent and stable than that. Yeah. And my parents are kind of like slowly on for the ride as
I
well.
was gonna ask, like, how did they feel about that pivot? Were they like,
I
or-
know, yeah, for a long time. Because I mean, I was like slowly feeding it to them, like, hey, I'm not gonna be a psychologist, you know what I
laying it out
mean?
like that?
No, not so forwardly, but
Oh,
just
okay.
like, giving like us talking about school and me giving them long glances, like, please don't expect anything from me. Please, just trust me.
Right.
Yeah, but recently I talked to like my dad, and my dad was just like, you can do this designing thing. Just succeed. I was like, okay. It's like, oh, okay.
Easy.
I know, like, piece of cake. You got it.
That's that kind of confidence. You got to think about that though. Hold on to that memory or whatever, because that means he can picture the idea of success. That was something that I had mentioned a couple interviews back about how sometimes, especially when it comes to like needing a support system or like a particular family, like it's hard for those folks or people who aren't already kind of like creative or like aware of creative worlds to picture success as an artist.
Mm-hmm.
And success that like your definition of success. Like some people
Mm-hmm.
don't necessarily need to make money to be successful for themselves.
Yeah.
Some people just want to be happy with the work they're making, which sounds like you'd fall into that category. And like they got to be cool with that if they're gonna
Mm-hmm.
uh, understand you and where you're at.
Yeah. And it's
So
pretty cool because I think this also lays the groundwork for my sister to also kind of let my parents know that she also wants to be,
what's she
something that,
studying right now?
oh, graphic design, because she
Oh, okay,
wants to be
great.
an animator. Yeah. So it's like, oh, I'm laying down the pad. Like, I'm walking so she
She
can
can run.
run.
Hey, I mean, that's what the big siblings are for. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I got the brunt
Mm-hmm.
of it, and I'm the oldest of four, and so like by the time we
Oh,
got down to the
true.
youngest, like they don't even ask where they're going. They just kind of
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
like I've seen all these memes on TikTok about that kind of thing. Like the comparison between the siblings or whatever, and like super strict with the
Mm-hmm.
oldest, and as it goes down, like there's the discipline disappears. Um, but anyway, yeah, totally true, and good on you for that.
Mm-hmm.
I bet she's super appreciative.
Yeah. She better be. She better succeed. What?
I know you can pass that down to her, like, all right, but you got to be good at
I
this or
know, like,
whatever.
don't let me down.
Oh my god.
That's so funny. Oh gosh.
I mean, it's also something that's like super relatable. I feel like a lot of people have experiences on that level,
Mm-hmm.
especially in the valley, like, well, okay, on that subject, how did you kind of start meeting folks in the valley creative community? How did you get in touch with like Madison and Karina and meet everybody?
I was lucky enough to meet Maddie in my Design 1 class, I think, during sophomore year of college. Yeah, like she sat in front of me on a very long table, and I was like, oh, she looks nice. She looks fun. She looks like we could be friends. And she was really my gateway into that sort of world because Maddie was one of those people that made me confident that this was like a legitimate field to be a part of. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like she always unapologetic about what she was doing, what she was creating. And she always knew that she could go further. And she was always like teaching herself, right?
Yeah.
Like outside of traditional classroom teaching, she was doing the work outside of it too. And that caught my eye. And I would just be like, she's the one, really. And to this day, I still feel that way. She's the one. And like after that, she was just like always so kind enough to help me and introduce me to people, just introduce me to her world so I could become like familiar enough to even step out on my own without her, you know what I mean? Just like to feel a sense of belonging there. And then through Maddie, literally, I met Karina. And then like all these other people who go to Tropicasso on Saturdays and all that stuff. Yeah, so it's very random, but I feel like the pieces have fallen for me to like really trust that this could be like my life, if that makes sense. As
Yeah.
dramatic as it sounds. Yeah. I just feel like how else should I see this? You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it's not a coincidence.
Like
It's
it
not
is
meant
your
for
life,
nothing.
right? Not like it could be your life. It
Yes.
is your life. It's the present, you know? Like it's part of
Mm-hmm.
you're part of an exhibition that's going on tomorrow. Like that's,
Mm-hmm.
you know, it's not like, oh, Divine could be on the show. Divine is on the show, right?
Right.
So,
Like
you
they
know,
didn't play with my name being included.
send your
They were just
dad
like,
the link.
I know, right? Oh my God, you're so right. No, because that is really some impressive work in my portfolio that was like a joint venture and a joint dream, like that exceeded actually the visions that we had for it too. Yeah, you're so right. I need to be doing more bragging about that for sure.
Writing like a diary? Or what do you
Oh,
mean?
what do you mean?
Did you say
Oh,
writing?
what?
Writing
Oh no,
WR?
I need to do more bragging.
Oh, ragging. Gotcha.
Yeah. I'm like so proud of that project because it was very like out of nowhere,
Mhm.
but it also was very serious to me. Like we were amplifying local black artists,
Mhm.
right?
Right.
And I'm a black artist as well,
Hmm.
and that means a lot to me. Exactly. So
He
I
did.
don't
He didn't know
know.
that y'all did that. He didn't know you were a part of that.
No, not
Mhm.
necessarily. I don't be sharing stuff like that with my parents.
Right on.
Like
I'm in a
I feel
similar boat.
like they want to see something more like tangible, if you know what I mean, like
Mhm.
financially tangible, you know what I
For sure.
mean?
I mean, they're
But
like they're looking out for like your end goal, which is just like
yeah,
not being
exactly.
out on the streets or whatever. Like they want you to have a home, they want you to have a family or whatever. I don't know. They
Hmm.
have goals and they just want you to be okay. I guess to have the stuff that they would normally be responsible for giving you, right?
Yeah, I
Uh,
don't feel any negative ways ever whenever I don't like share these things with them
mhm.
because like what they want to see is what I want to see too, right?
Yeah,
And when that time comes, I'll let them know. But even right now, I'm really proud of the stuff that I'm doing and the things that I'm a part of and the people that I'm sharing like my dreams with, you know? So
totally.
it never feels like I'm hiding myself ever.
That's awesome. That's
Thank
fantastic.
you.
Yeah. I was just having a similar discussion with folks recently, just about how like, you know, whether your parents are aware of like what you do, and I had mentioned how like, you know, my folks knew that I played in bands because I'm, you know, musician among other things, and but it
Hmm.
never became like a real thing. I think until like the day after I played a show, I went to get IHOP with them one morning, and like the server at the place like recognized me from the show, and they were like, "Hey,
Oh.
your band was so good last night." And I was like, "Oh, thanks very much," you know, whatever. And then she left, and my mom was kind of like,
Yeah, as she
and I
should.
was just like, "What?" She's like, "You have fans," and I was like, "Yeah, I mean, I play in a band, and people like the band, you know." But yeah, it never clicked for her until that moment. You know what I mean? And I think that's kind of how it is for a lot of parents. Like it's
Yeah.
you know they're not there for the journey, but they see the milestones perhaps sometimes, where they see you know
Hmm.
things like that. So yeah. Um, what was I gonna say next? I was gonna ask something else.
I hope you don't mind that I turned my phone sideways.
I
It's
did
charging
notice
right
that. I
now.
wasn't sure what your can I do that too? Is that how this? If I turn my
Yes, please do join me.
okay, I need to re-rig my phone. Then hold on. Let me see. I hope this doesn't
Where did
reveal
I
too
go
much of my
sleep?
apartment. This mirror is
Oh
already showing a lot.
no.
Let's see.
I'm sure it looks nice. You're just probably being too hard on yourself.
I'm rubber banding. No, this pest has had me severely neglect my apartment upkeep. Uh,
Fingers crossed that it works. Yay! Yes, I love see I can see so much more of you now.
right. Yeah.
I
Right.
like
There's like a little bit more like headroom
it.
perhaps.
Mm-hmm.
Now all the chat is I have to kind of like do this, or you know what? No, I have it open on my this business. The
Yeah, I
mirror
see
version of the chat
myself
is right
and
there.
you behind you right now. I see the screen in the back.
I really wanted to have like a mirror effect, and then maybe get like a you know that I forget I don't know the when mirrors reflect each other and they do that. I had a
Mm-hmm.
big lofty idea about that, but it turned into just from afar.
I see your efforts and they're working very fine.
I
I
appreciate
feel
that.
appreciated.
Thank you so much. Thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
Um, okay. Uh, uh, Going back to the fest. Who reached out to you? Was it Ram? Was it Josue? Because I know you'd also
It
done
was
some work.
Josue.
Josue? Okay, cool. Because you've done some
Mm-hmm.
work for Trucha before, right?
Yeah, uh-huh. And Josue and I have become friendly. And so I always feel very good whenever he asks for my name to be a part of something. Like, I didn't even know that he was going to come up and ask me anything. I was just like, oh my gosh. Like, and when he did, I was just like fangirling because I was like, you want to see me again? Because sometimes you don't think that the stuff that you make is shit.
Yeah,
You know what I
totally.
mean? Of
Imposter
course.
syndrome or whatever.
Like, it's completely normal to be hard on yourself and all of that. And yeah, it's just like a huge surprise whenever people look at you differently and like, I appreciate the things that you make and I want to see more of it. Will you please let me see more of it? It just, wow. I get tender-hearted. I don't know. Because, like I said, or maybe I did mention it before, sometimes I feel like I'm more of a hobbyist than an artist,
Sure.
right? So whenever I get love like that, I just don't know what to do with myself. So
You say thank you and you go on about your business.
this is true. I'm learning how to do that. It's hard, but
For sure.
I'm dedicating myself to learning how to do that for sure.
It's yeah, I feel like I usually get real bashful when people say something like that to me too. Like all the love, for
Hmm.
example, for the festival, people will like tell me directly, like, "Hey, this is really great," blah blah blah. Thank you, thank you. And I'm almost at a loss for words, just because it's like,
Hmm.
what do you say in that moment?
Hmm.
But so when did Josue reach out to you about being a part of the festival?
He reached out to me maybe, I'm forgetting that it's almost September. So I think last month, because there was like a deadline maybe like a couple weeks ago where we
Mm-hmm.
had to submit our stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I think like 3 weeks earlier before then. Yeah, and I was just like, oh, of course. Like I have no idea what I'm gonna make for you, but of course,
So
yeah.
all of these
And
are
then like,
completely new. Oh, sorry, go on.
yeah, they're completely new. I I had taken like a break from collaging for a bit just because whenever I was like collaging a lot, I was in school and I was feeling burnt out and then I had work to take care of. So I was like, oh, I don't have time for the activities that I actually want to dedicate myself to.
Mm-hmm.
And I just let it be like that until I was kind of out of that funk. And when Jose asked me, it was just like I have work to do, but work that I actually want to do, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I was very happy to be a part of it, and I'm so glad that he asked me. And he's working like with you on this as well.
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
Josue was kind of one of the people who kind of wanted to spearhead this idea from the beginning. Like, do you know what the origins of it are, or how it all kind of?
No, I don't. I don't know the story.
So last year, Natalia was curating a showcase, an experimental film showcase for Future Traditions, which is a sort of like art festival that happens in Austin, and they were doing it virtually because of COVID. And she reached out to me to submit a film, and Josue as well, and as well as Connie Cavazos, who's another artist in the screening side of the festival. Um, and so we all made these works, we put them out there, and it was really cool. Natalia kind of hosted it, put the whole thing together, and Josue, I think, from that experience, was like, we gotta do something like this in the RGV, like with RGV artists.
Hmm.
And so he reached out to Natalia about the idea, and then they started kind of working on it, and I guess they thought it'd be cool to bring in like someone from the Valley to help curate things, and so they hit me up because they knew that I kind of just, I was doing Blast at the time, and I I just, like you said earlier, like there's points where you feel like a hobbyist. Sometimes I feel like I appreciate art more than I make art.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
just in my daily life or whatever, for whatever reason, I'm just not making as much. But as a result of like appreciating so much of it and following different artists and kind of just keeping tabs on like who's doing what or whatever, who all the new people are, like I love doing that. It's so cool to like keep an eye out for like new people doing new stuff. And for the first time ever, this is an opportunity for me to use that knowledge, to just like, all right, cool. These are artists that aren't getting their flowers throughout most of the community. Let's put them on here. Let's give them a platform, and you know, and so yeah, that's kind of how they brought me into it. And then from there, we started putting it together virtually. And then once things started chilling out, we started talking about doing it in person, and that's when we got C in the mix. Shiny Kid in the chat, shouts out. And
Yeah, I see them.
yeah, and from there, like we started working on the incubator space and working it that way, and then we had to bring it back down to size just because things got bad again. But
Yeah.
I mean, I still feel like we're probably doing more now than we had planned to do initially for the festival in person, just because it's virtual and we're just like, all right, here's all this stuff, here's all this energy we were going to get to this, and here's how it's going to you can get to have all this virtual now. It's been a whole journey to get to this point. So it is a pleasure to work on, pleasure to have you a part of it for sure.
Thank you so much. Yeah, and I love that because it's all virtual now. It's a lot more accessible to anybody and everybody. Like, you just cannot miss this event because it's not really. I mean, if you have your business to take care of during that
We're not
time,
gonna hate on people who don't go. That's fine.
yeah,
They got stuff to do.
if you're free that time, like, you can literally be in your room on your bed with whatever in the background and tune into our show. And that's the really cool thing about it. Yeah, like, it's the perfect space and the perfect time to be doing something like this. And I'm so glad that you guys are curating such a really powerful event.
Thank you. Thank you so
Like,
much.
thank you so much.
Thank you back. Yeah, for real. So I know you didn't want to talk explicitly about your works in the exhibition. Could you talk about the direction, perhaps? The shift, maybe? Because you said they're different.
Yeah. I've never felt like I made like consistent work, but I feel like the work that I'm making now that's going to be shown at the event is just like a lot more like whimsical and even new to me. Like, I didn't know I could reach into territories like this. 'Cause usually whenever I make work, it always features like human people
Yeah.
and oh, excuse me, someone is like banging on my door. Please wait for me.
Do we have a guest?
I think so. I think my mom is trying to intrude. Let me see real quick. I'm sorry.
It's all good. It's all good. We'll be here. Everybody in the chat, drop some mom emojis. I know that they exist. In the meantime.
Okay, I took care of it. She went out shopping and she wanted to show me something in the
That's
middle
really
of my
sweet.
interview.
Oh.
She can wait for me.
This happened last time.
Did it? Oh, yeah.
It did happen last time. Your sister came into the room, remember? She was like, what's going on?
Everybody's just in my business. And this is also like everyone's favorite room in the house. I've been decorating it and everything. You see my anime posters right here?
I haven't looked at them up close yet.
People want to be up in this.
The energy of that room is...
Yes, it's cozy in here. I get it.
That's amazing, though, that it's like happened like every single time we've had an interview. Wow. 10 years down the line, if this happens again, for some reason, we're like having a conversation in public. Like it'll like in an interview space, someone's gonna show up and be like, "Excuse me, Divine."
We just have to bet on it. Honestly, we just have to bet on it. But like usually, my pieces, back to what I was saying, usually like feature like human people, and I really don't like do much with that. I like my set pieces as they are. Like, whenever I find a really nice subject that I like, I place them somewhere, and I don't really change the way that they look too much. I think I change things around them to create like an overall new picture, but I never like mess with them.
Yeah.
And with the pieces I'm showing tomorrow, it's like
a whole new world.
Yeah. It's definitely a little different. And like, one of my pieces doesn't even feature people at all. And that's very new to me because, I don't know, whenever I first started collaging, I always thought like, oh, there has to be like a main character person inside my pieces. Because if not, then what am I making? Like, or what am I trying to have people's gaze on if not that? You know what I mean?
Like, you wanted it to have like a connection to a human element? Like
Yeah, I
specifically,
wanted it
you
to
know.
be like relatable in some sort of way, right? Like immediately off the bat.
Mhm.
And with this new one, I'm not doing that at all. And that's kind of like scary because I'm just like, what is this, you know? But
Very
at the
different
same
kind of
time,
energy.
yeah, but I connect with it and I'm just like, oh, I really like the direction this is in, and maybe I'll make more based off of what I made here. Like it can become an inspiration for something else rather than me like just completely sourcing out something new, you know? So it's very exciting art clapping for me. And that means a lot because my sister, especially my youngest sister, she's 12. She's like,
Wow!
you know?
Oh my
I
god!
know. She's a Virgo. That should tell you like everything you have to know. And whenever she likes something that I make, I know that I did a good job. And she likes the
Hmm.
stuff that I'm putting out tomorrow. So I hope everybody likes it too. We'll see. We'll see.
It's past the test that really matters. Uh,
Yes, really. If I can conquer her words, I can conquer it all, really. My parents, who? The real person I'm
I
trying
was
to get
gonna
to
say,
is my sibling.
there's a pattern here. Like your family is like, uh, first of all, like rooting for you, or on one side like rooting for you, and the other side just like, all right, just don't mess it up or whatever. Like it's
Exactly.
like
It's
two
either
types of
that or
support, kind of.
this.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
Does family play a role in your work at all? Does that ever kind of come into play with your collages?
Never really. I mean, whenever I like feature family, you could say, I think you can look at it whenever I just feature like black people in the stuff that I make. So not
Mm-hmm.
necessarily like biological or blood family, but more like cultural family, like
Definitely.
it's just very easy for me, yeah, for me to seek out people who just look like me or look like the people that I love, right? Because I just don't know. It taps into something in my heart that feels true to me, and I want to share that with everybody else. That's why I really don't, whenever I use human elements, either I'm using like something that's completely like unrelatable to you and I, or
Mm-hmm.
it's just going to be relatable to black people. And I like it that way. I don't
Yeah,
feel
that's not a bad
any
thing at all.
I don't want to feel guilty about that because it for me it fits. It just makes sense. And I'm not going to make things that, you know, that like that
Like you're
don't
not.
connect with,
Yeah.
like, then who am I making art for at that point?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're making it for yourself. You know, you're not.
Yeah, exactly. I am my real audience at 1st.
Mhm.
And then everybody else can join in whenever I decide to share. But like, I think about myself and what I like, because that's really like, how else do you make art? Like, that's the style, like that's my art style, if you will, if I ever have one. Either I include black people or I'm not including any people,
Totally.
you know?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, on the subject of style, uh, one, I guess a word that I would use to describe your works, which I really, really like. I mean, you see me in your DMs every single time you posted something, just like this is great, or like I like reshared it on Instagram. Uh,
Yes, you're so loving. Thank you so much.
they remind me a lot of dreams.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to ask, like, does that kind of like play a role at all in your works? Like, do you intend for them to kind of like represent some kind of dreamlike quality? Do your dreams play a part of your work? It's okay if not, but I'm just curious because that's kind of what I get out of it, and I understand it's like my interpretation, but
I think unconsciously that may be where I take myself whenever I do make things, because they end up looking similar in that sort of way, like things outside like the human gaze or like the human world and all that stuff. But I think I just give more credit to like what imagination like can be, because I think I don't know if I told you, but like one of my favorite artists is like Salvador Dali, and
you
he
mentioned before,
makes
yeah.
really, yeah, he makes very weird and kind of like only things that could ever exist in like a dreamscape or like type of things. And I'm just like, oh, like this connects with me and I want to make stuff that looks like that, because I cannot conjure up whatever I make digitally in like the real world. Neither can you, neither can anyone else. And that's kind of like the thing that I like about it. And also connecting that back to why I love cartoons and anime so much. It's just, you know, I
Mm-hmm.
always find like a way to plug that in. Yeah. Um, that's really where my gaze like always set, like to create things that I cannot see with my own two eyes, you know?
For sure. Definitely. Maybe a third eye, if any. I don't know if that's
Oh,
something.
there
Yeah,
we
think about.
go.
I know that that's an idea that some people have thrown out there in terms of like things that you're seeing without your physical eyes, but like another type of sight, another type of perception. Um,
Yes, exactly.
uh, you mentioned anime again, and you also brought in Salvador Dali to the mix. So just real quick, one of these fun questions. Can you imagine like what Salvador Dali might think of anime if he were to watch something like that?
Oh my God, that is such an wow, the fact that you just stitched those words together, that's absolutely perfect.
Like imagine if you sat him
Yeah, why
down and had him
not?
watch like Jujutsu Kaisen or something.
Yeah, or like JoJo's Bizarre Adventure.
Oh
I
my god.
no, like I really think that would be the perfect one to feed to him. He would go crazy over that one. Yeah, it's just like I feel like animes like JoJo's Bizarre Adventure aren't too beginner, but if you make kind of like weird and fucked up-ish things like Salvador Dali did, then you would totally understand it without having to know any sort of like prior anime knowledge. I think he would, yeah, I think he would love it. That would be the perfect one. And the fact that there are so many parts to it, it's kind of like never-ending joy. You have a thrill with it, and we could watch it with him.
That'd
Imagine.
be that'd be a I can't kind of oh sorry. I'm trying to picture that moment just like him, mustache, and like a
I
TV
know.
with anime on it, him just kind of like I don't know, just like you know what I mean. Just the idea is interesting.
Hmm.
Uh, I had another thought about anime actually. We are nearing our like last 10 minutes. I'll make this quick. Just
Oh,
again, kind of reflection that I've had with watching the Evangelion stuff is something that I hadn't really thought about or was able to vocalize. But like, I feel like anime also one thing that I think makes it because it's super popular right now, more popular than ever, right? Like when I was into anime in like high school and stuff, it was uncool. It was not the thing
yes.
to do. Before anime was an hot topic and stuff like that, right? But now it's reached everybody, right?
Mm,
I don't think it's a matter of like people starting to like it. I think it's more so just people have been exposed to it. It's like a mainstream thing, which is super cool. And I think the reason that I think it appeals to people is the same way that things like poetry appeal to people. The reason people drink wine over
yeah.
beer, wine is a more kind of like refined, there's like layers to that experience compared to, I mean, beer probably has the same thing, but like there's certain qualities to wine that are a little bit more quote unquote complex, maybe. Um, and it's also such a like old practice. Like if I were to compare things, I'd say like beer is digital and wine is analog. I don't even know if I'm making sense. I'm getting into my surrealist talks
Mhm,
here, but I feel like
mhm.
anime has puts a lot of energy into its inner monologue. You get a lot of characters like thoughts and feelings,
Mm,
which you don't get out of a lot of
mhm,
other entertainment. You don't get that out of like Game of Thrones. You don't get that out of like all these other big shows. Like anime has that a lot of that like folks aren't talking. You're just hearing what's in their head, and I think that appeals to a lot of people. Would you kind of agree with that? Is that kind of something that you would think that appeals to you also about anime?
mhm. Yes. And before I like a lot more kind of like global and in front of day, I saw a post on Tumblr and it was like a Twitter screenshot, like a screenshot of a post on Twitter. And the post was like, I've been more peer pressured to watch anime than to do drugs. Like and it's so funny because really that's the world we live in right now. Absolutely. Those people doing the peer pressuring.
Have you watched JoJo's yet? Like that kind of yeah, totally.
Yeah, no, yeah. Me all up in their face exactly like that. But yeah, the thing with anime is really how human the characters appear. Like, you can see kind of like your most in them. Maybe the person that you hide from other people, yourself, or like close friends, close family, but the person that you kind of wish was just like not feeling so much shame. You know what I mean? Like if
Yeah.
I wasn't like so hard on myself, if I was just like more honest, if I didn't perform, I would this, and there shouldn't be any sort of problem with it. But just like the like, be someone you're not. And feeling shame is just like a very power that really transforms people, right? And in anime,
Oh,
it's just like it's just different. I don't know, but exactly what you said about like those characters just have layers on layers on layers, and you can't really see analysis or like there's nothing really like that to dissect with any us of entertainment unless you can like one that's non-anime or like non-cartoon. That's cool, but usually my attention to those like live action things, it's not necessarily in the depth that I crave anime gives me or like cartoons like that. Yeah, I don't know, that's always what keeps me coming back. Like I saw that it's like hard for me to keep watching it because it's so sad. It's called To Your
oh,
Eternity. And I feel like the first episode alone could have been the start and the end of that whole series. If it's so go that route. Or like
really?
if you want it to be like a short film or something. But yeah, it's called To Your Eternity, and it's like one of the most things I've ever seen in my life. And that's really weird to say because nothing is really original on Earth anymore.
Uh-huh.
But that one, I've just want everybody to have their peek at it and to have to watch the whole series
Just the first
after that,
episode.
the start and finish. I've never cried so much. You are introduced to
Wow.
people for the first time and you are theirs. Like you are devoted to them. It's crazy. But I'm trying to not to be like a fangirl about beautiful, and it really just tugs at you so hard. If you don't cry, you're not human. I don't know, like sorry.
Well, I appreciate you
But
recommending it. Thank you. That's another one that I'll check out. I think I'll visit that one before I visit Tokyo Revengers.
Your Eternity, and it's on Crunchyroll.
Gotcha. All right, I'm getting my Crunchyroll back. I think there's a
Can
little
you
bit
hear
of a
me?
delay.
Am
Can
I
you hear me
frozen?
on time, or is there like a delay?
Please. Hearing you like maybe a second before. Yeah,
Huh.
I don't think we're synced up.
Uh-oh.
But are we
I just
fine
got the.
now?
I think we're fine now. I also got the counter from Instagram that we have like a minute and a half left.
Oh, okay.
This hour blew by.
It did.
Super,
I
super
was
fast.
nervous that it was gonna feel like an hour after an hour after an hour. I was like, oh, hopefully not. No, but it was like so and so casual. I'm so happy that this was the atmosphere of it all today.
Me too. This has been a complete pleasure. I'm gonna, you know
Hmm.
what? Before we end, everybody knows what's happening with the festival. It's tomorrow. Sign on at 6 p.m. for the pre-stream,
Yes.
all that stuff. The films begin at 7. The virtual exhibition, which
Hmm.
Divine Agbeko's wonderful work will be a part of, is going to be ongoing and available from 6 p.m. till the rest of the night. I think to the rest of the month. Divine, where can people see your work, and what else? Anything else you want to plug before we head out this evening?
Um, People can see my work on my Instagram, Hues SNM. That is my username. I think I may change it because it's kind of a little hard. But yeah, and I'm excited to keep on creating things for people to look at, things that impress me and also maybe that other people could love as well. I'm really like happy that I was granted like space and people welcome me into, just like
We got five
their lives.
seconds.
Oh my
Sorry.
God! Oh, thank you everyone for coming to our live. It was amazing.